The Polybius arcade game, the most terrifying urban legend in video game history. The year is 1981. Arcades are everywhere. Pac-Man, Donkey Kong, and Centipede are cultural phenomena, and somewhere in Portland, Oregon, according to the legend, a new game appeared in several arcades. It was called Polybius after the ancient Greek historian. Nobody remembers seeing it being installed. Nobody remembers who made it. The game was mesmerizing, so mesmerizing that players queued for hours to play it. And then the players started getting sick. According to the Polybius legend, players who spent time on the machine began experiencing seizures, amnesia, and vivid nightmares. Some became intensely anxious. Some reported receiving commands in their dreams. All players reported an addictive quality to the game that they could not resist despite the adverse effects. And then the other visitors arrived. Men in dark suits who came to the arcades specifically to service the Polybius machines, removing data storage devices and replacing them with new ones, watching who played, and departing without speaking to anyone. After a few weeks or months, accounts differ. The Polybius machines vanished as mysteriously as they had appeared. No one knew where they went. No official game company acknowledged producing them. No photograph of a Polybius cabinet from 1981 has ever emerged. No arcade owner from Portland has confirmed remembering the machine. The game existed entirely in the memories of people who claimed to have played it and the accounts they gave to others who hadn't. The story of Polybius first appeared on the internet in 2000 on a website called coinup.org that cataloged arcade games. A user submitted an entry for Polybius with the description of its effects and the claim that it was a government mind control experiment. The timing is significant. 2000 was the height of early internet culture, when urban legends spread virally for the first time. When the history of government programs like MKUltra, the actual CIA mind control research program from the 1950s and 60s, was becoming widely known online. And when the aesthetic of government conspiracy was deeply embedded in popular culture through the X-Files. Polybius' story has elements of several real things. Atari was contracted by the U.S. government in the early 1980s to produce training software. There were real concerns in the early 1980s about the effects of video games on children, including seizure risks. Pac-Man and other arcade games did produce photosensitive seizures in a small percentage of players. And MKUltra, the actual CIA program involving covert mind control experiments including LSD administration to unwitting subjects, was real and was revealed in congressional hearings in 1975. The name Polybius is itself a clue. Polybius was an ancient Greek historian who wrote about cryptography and specifically described a method of encoding messages using a grid system called the Polybius square. Whoever named the legendary game chose a name with cryptographic resonance, suggesting a hidden message system beneath the gameplay surface. Whether this was a knowing reference that reveals the story as intentional fiction, or a coincidence selected because the name sounded appropriately obscure and technical, is itself part of the mystery. Polybius has become one of the most discussed video game urban legends in history. A wave of documented sightings emerged in the 2000s and 2010s as creators made actual Polybius game recreations and placed the cabinets in public locations as pranks or art projects. In 2017, a VR version of Polybius was released as a legitimate commercial product, a fast-moving tunnel shooter explicitly referencing the legend. The legend has become real in the sense that products named Polybius now actually exist, created by the story that had no physical existence. Polybius is almost certainly a fabrication. No physical evidence supports its existence in 1981. Its origin in the early internet era is consistent with the period's taste for government conspiracy narratives. But its persistence and appeal illuminate something real about the way we relate to technology and power. The fear that games, screens, can be used to manipulate us without our knowledge or consent is not paranoid. It is a real question in a world of social media algorithms, behavioral targeting, and documented cases of deliberate psychological manipulation through digital interfaces. Polybius is fictional. The fear it embodies is not.